Hail, and welcome to the Temporary Stand podcast number 20. This week, just the lads again, and I'm joined by Fraser, Johnny and Johnser as we sit down to assess the season's opener against Aberdeen. After that, we look at last week's 2-1 win at home versus Helsinki and how new signings maybe could have made more of an impact on proceedings on the night. We finish off with a wee look at the return match versus Helsinki in Finland this Wednesday. Nothing left to add to that, but see you on the other side. It's 49, it's the 5th of August, and on the line I've got, from Belfast, we've got John.
How's it going?
We've got Fraser in Glasgow.
How you doing?
Also in Glasgow, we've got Johnny.
How you doing, lads?
Right, first off, Celtic started off the new season with a 1-0 win over Aberdeen. Fraser, bit sticky at times, wee bit lacking up front. What's your general opinion of the game?
It was the kind of game you get after a hard European midweek game. A very, very solid Aberdeen team, but you knew what you're going to get with them now. And I just thought we were really, really lacking ideas to try and break them down.
John, any idea?
Yeah, I agree with Fraser. Aberdeen set their stall out pretty well. Were difficult to break down. They didn't really venture forward much. I thought we were very pedestrian. At times it was like watching Strachan in the last throes of the Strachan era. But we got the win, and that's important. So I don't want to be too critical, but it was a hard match to watch. It wasn't easy on the eye. Hopefully we start bucking up our ideas, but I am concerned about the lack of spark. We do seem to be missing that wee kind of spark of creativity at the moment. We've seen a very workman-like team.
Johnny, is the formation getting to do it?
Well, we went back to 4-4-2 on Saturday, which is going to be our most commonly used formation after the Ajax game, I'd imagine. So I don't think the formation had anything to do with it on Saturday. It was more the hangover after Thursday, which Lennon kind of commented on. They only had a day and a half to recover, which you've only got limited sympathy because they've got the best kind of sports science guys that you can get in there, so they should really be recovering, but they're only human.
So, John, what do you think was the major problem? You highlighted we looked a wee bit stiff, and I mean, somebody said to me after the game that it was more like an end of season game rather than a brand new season game.
It's hard to pinpoint. Again, Samras, he wasn't running the players. He kept cutting back inside, which kind of frustrates me because I like to see Samras don't have a goal players and run into the box or run the channels. When Yama was too deep, game changed when he could push forward. We were a little bit more positive. I guess it's Kyle's first game back really for us. But I mean, we just kept playing the ball sideways, and our passing was sometimes very slack at times, and we were taking one or two many touches on the ball. If you know what I mean. We were kind of dithering on the ball instead of like releasing it quicker. We weren't very slick at all, and I don't know if it is just we're not in our groove yet, or there is some underlying problems regarding coaching at Celtic. We're not kind of very progressive in terms of pass and move.
For myself, I thought I can't disagree with what you're saying with regard to passing. I thought the passing was very poor at times. Maybe taking that too many touches and then finding the space close down. Fraser, Stokes and Hooper had pretty poor days, and Darryl Murphy come on, and as much as Darryl Murphy's a trier, we kind of know what we're going to get after Darryl Murphy. Are the two strikers anything to blame for how lacklustre it was and how they never really connected with the midfield?
Well, we mentioned last week about the team looking very toothless, and to be honest, I don't see anything different at all. Hooper, I was very critical of Gary Hooper in the early stages of last season. I felt he looked very, how do I explain this, almost lethargic. Like he wouldn't. It was almost as if he was only going to get the ball if it was put straight to him. He wasn't going to work hard to get it. I felt the same. I thought Stokes worked hard, but again, it didn't go for him. His touch was poor. I think they do. I think the team, the two guys up front have got to work a bit harder about getting themselves involved with the midfield and linking up a wee bit better.
I mean, are we basically saying that the defence was fine? We're talking about Wanyama. Wanyama moved into midfield and when we brought Big Wilson back on. And Wilson I didn't think that he was much tested. Aberdeen, as John and Fraser rightly said, Aberdeen were compact and they were strong in the tackle and stuff like that. Never really gave us much problems unless we made it ourselves. But is there no enough creativeness in this team?
Well, there isn't at all, really. I mean, Kyle at least tries to get the ball and drive forward with it. But when he was trying to do that on Saturday, there didn't seem to be much options once he did drive forward a wee bit. And he took a few heavy knocks again. But we do look much better when Wanyama comes in the middle, because he totally... There was a few times he ran back and he just brushed Aberdeen players right off the ball. And then he was getting it and spraying it out wide pretty quickly, the way Key does. But Wanyama, playing in centre-half, kind of just kills him, really. And he's not the best at centre-half either, especially after the penalty she nearly gave away the other night.
Yeah.
But seems I'm mentioning the slack passes. Lennon said that the pitch was running slow, because I was getting a bit angry yesterday because there was 3 or 4 hospital buzz the Celtic players done. So that maybe explains the pitch was running a bit slow as well. But when you talk about the strikers, Stokes isn't fit. And the two of them just looked really flat-footed. So he did. Yeah. Hooper kept dropping off. So he did. And there was a few times Aberdeen defenders done a few loose balls and neither of them were there to capitalise on it.
John, you were going to come in there?
I was actually going to make the point that Johnny made. I think the two, first of all, I noticed that on Wednesday night and on Saturday, that Hooper especially is dropping very deep. And that's not where we really want to see Gary Hooper. I mean, he's ineffective when he drops so deep. He's been in the box. And Stokes, I agree, Stokes doesn't look fit. And Stokes hasn't been really playing well for the last few months of the season anyhow. But I guess a major problem or major reason for that is neither low strikers are under considerable pressure. There's no one chomping at the bit at Celtic Park. So it's Gary Hooper's basically in every game. He's asserted to be in every game because we have no one to come in there. Bangura, absolute disaster signing. Spud Murphy, as you said, he tries, but he's not the answer. And Samras just doesn't score enough, and he's more content now to play a midfield type role. So we just need some striker to come in and put them under pressure and make everyone keep players on their toes.
Do you think that's what it is, Fraser? Do you think there's any validity to the statement that when Gary Hooper's dropping into midfield to pick up the ball, our midfielders should be advancing past him, and that doesn't happen? That's what somebody said to me. Our midfielders don't ever kind of progress past the forwards. When you see some of the best teams in Europe, they don't have out-and-out strikers. They have guys who drop back in to receive the ball, and everybody's flexible enough to push on after that. Certainly Ajax had that against us. Do you think that's...
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Scott. Completely agree with that. I think you'll find... I mean, our midfield, maybe with the exception of Samaras, is obviously quite direct, quite attacking minded. John mentioned earlier he was cutting in a lot on Saturday. I think that was more to do with the fact that the Aberdeen kind of midfield and defence was that congested, and he'd nowhere to go. But see, our midfield, unless we've got James Forrest playing, you're really not going to get the centre mids, whether that be Kayal, Wanyama, whether it be Ledley, Kayal, whatever kind of teams out in the park. You're not going to get these guys busting past the forward, making breaking runs and all that. You're just not going to get it from them. The only player that I would say they would probably do it would be Joe Ledley, because Joe's not bad for a couple of goals, but out with that, he's not going to do it all the time. I still feel he's more of a kind of break-up player, does all the hard work,
Well, John, I'll come to you here, right? We've got these young guys, Dylan McGeoch, we've got the young boy, Ibrahim. We were talking about last week. I understand that it was Aberdeen, it was the first game of the season. We didn't want to give nothing away straight away, but we're then going to make the excuse that when we play away from home, we can't be putting these young guys in. We should be putting them in at home. We're watching the game yesterday, and the guy Key had a smashing game, and everybody's kind of came to the conclusion that this guy should be gone. Is there no reason why Key doesn't come back to Celtic and actually plays a big part in this season?
Everybody just seems to think that Key being sold, which seems to be the case, will be the only reason where we will sign anybody, because there's no other money. So you could get a job for us, but it makes financial sense to sell him and maybe sign a centre back, God forbid. But see, going back to, you were talking about the midfielders. See, when Hooper drops off, I noticed this on Wednesday and the Saturday, Commons seem to be the furthest player up the park a lot of the time. We might be going today, put balls out of the tap for Chris Commons to run onto. He wouldn't beat me to the ball. You know what I mean? He's not exactly playing, he doesn't exactly play in the last shoulder, does he? He's the last guy's shoulder. He's not going to run away from anybody. So he has been going past the forwards when Hooper's doing it. I don't think that's a very effective tactic to be doing.
The thing that Commons has got that it seems nobody else in the squad has got is that he can rattle a ball.
Right.
Nobody else seems interested.
Aye,
I mean, I spoke about it at the end of last season that the only time Celtic guys ever hit, apart from Commons, the only time Celtic guys hit a dig for you is when we're 4 and 5 up and you get away with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, a comment made to me at the game on Saturday was Izzy Guerri. What's your opinions on him and how he's come back, John?
Izzy Guerri, he's obviously still not the player that he once was. I think there is an issue mentally, and maybe perhaps his fitness levels are not what they were. On Wednesday night, when the match kicked off, he get clattered the first few minutes, and I was actually kind of glad to see it because he get up right away, and I was thinking that maybe that kind of would be give him a wee bit of confidence that he did get clattered and he did get up and walk away from it. But he definitely hasn't been the same player that he was in seasons past, and I think he's kind of, there's a bit of reluctance there. He looks a little bit, not fat, but a little bit, he's carrying a little bit of weight, and he certainly looks as if he's lost a yard of pace. But hopefully, with a good run of games, that it can come back, because he's by far and away the most effective left-sided player we have. So, but I don't know, at the moment, for me, I'm just hoping that it's lack of matches and it's a mental block that eventually he will get over when he gets confidence. But you've sometimes seen this before where players get injured and just don't come back the same type of player.
I don't agree with the whole he's no fit thing. He's still been getting forward quite effectively. Defensively, he looks suspect. But he has been, the way he was playing, we know he can do that. So hopefully, we run a games, he will get back to it. But I think he looks really good going forward. His crossing could maybe improve a wee bit, but he's still bombing up and down the wing.
Incidentally, what happened to Charlie McGrew at the weekend? I never read in, never heard it.
He's banned.
He was suspended. Right, okay, cool. That was good. Right, okay, so we get a win. Again, going back to what I was saying, Chris Commons, the only guy willing to have a shot, and we got lucky. Where do we move on from here? I mean, do we put it down that it'll come? I mean, or we were missing players? I mean, we were missing Forrest, of course. Where do we go for our next game? Because our next game is at Ross County away, is that right?
Yep.
So Ross County away, we're going up there. What's the plan? I mean, how are we going to look at this? I mean, do we go back to 4-5-1? Do we try the 3 at the back again? Or do we just stick with a 4-4-2? Or do we just really, really hope we get somebody brought in? Johnny?
I think any SPL game we should be playing 2 up front. Especially like the home games in Europe, we should be playing 2. But any opposition in SPL should be playing 2 up front, in my opinion. I'm not a fan of playing 4-5-1 or playing 3 at the back away from home. It just got alarm bells screaming at you.
But again, it comes back to what we said last week. Again, that it does, the guys who are holding the jersey aren't really looking up to the game, and by that I mean the forwards.
But it is the start of the season, so we've got to make allowances for that. No matter what everybody says, it is the start of the season. It takes a while to get into your rhythm. I think the thing that we need to focus on is getting a settled defence. We'll get into a third competitive game of the season on Wednesday, and it'll be the third different defence that we've had already. That's my big concern, is the defence.
Who do you see starting on Wednesday, Johnny?
Well, hopefully it'll be Matthews, Rogney, Mulgrew and Izaguirre.
John, we'll come on to that later on in the podcast, maybe part 3 or something. So any other comments about Saturday? Any other comments? I mean, I think goalkeeper wise, it was, Johnny, you'd said to me on Saturday during the game, it was good to no worry about the goalkeeper. It wasn't a concern, it wasn't a problem anymore.
Right.
Defensively, it frustrates me we've got Wanyama in there. It just really, really frustrates me. We've got, in my opinion, a class act. And I thought the boy was man of the match by a stretch, even though I've seen Commons obviously got man of the match at the game. I mean, who was your man of the match, Fraser?
Victor Wanyama.
So
I think he got the Sky Sports man of the match.
Did he?
Yep.
John, and you watched on the telly, yeah?
Aye. Man of the match. Nobody really Victor, I guess, man of the match if you count Victor coming into midfield. But before that then no one really was deserving of it.
Did you not think he was alright at the back, no?
He wasn't. Let's be honest, Aberdeen had one shot, I think, if I recall. Don't even think they had a shot in goal. On target, sorry. They had one shot in goal, if I can remember. But they weren't really putting us under any sort of pressure. So it was, I guess, no one came away with flying colours in my eyes. But if I had to pick someone, it would be Victor, based on how well he played when he was pushed forward in the midfield role. Okay,
so that was pretty comprehensive in the game. I don't think we'll get into really hard. We'll go to part 2 and we'll have a wee look at Wednesday past. We'll just talk about our opinions on the Helsinki win. Okay, welcome back, lads. A 2-1 win against Helsinki Wednesday. I don't think anybody was doing cartwheels in the end up, and there's still ambiguity over this coming game against Helsinki and the return game over there. So, initial thoughts, John. Give me your feedback on the game.
I was personally speaking, I was very nervous watching it. I thought the first half we had lots of chances, but all the chances, that kind of like we just weren't sharp. We weren't sharp enough, and I guess part of the problem is the SPL starts after our first game, but I don't think we took pre-season particularly. The players and the management didn't take pre-season very serious, so I guess that was part of the problem. But we were very, some of the passing was a yard or two in front of a player, or a yard behind the player, or a lot of the passing was just no hospital balls. But second half, it was a complete better show. When we went 1-0 down, I was really concerned. Again, it was kind of comedy defending from Celtic in Europe, but fair play to the players. They kind of bucked up their ideas, scored a goal very quickly. I think we hit the post really quickly afterwards, and then we got the goal relatively quick. So that gave me encouragement, and we wanted to get the win. 2-1, I take it, but I would have liked a bit of breathing space, and I don't even want to call for next Wednesday. Call it, because I'm so nervous about it, because I know with various message boards and all, people seem to be like a lot of Celtic fans seem to be very blasé about Europe, and for me, Europe's everything. The SPL this season, while it interests me, and I hope obviously I fancy us to win it, but it will be kind of like a one-horse race. So Europe is where we should be really looking to make a dent this season, and with Rangers being out of the picture, and I just hope that we don't fall the first hurdle.
Fraser, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think all the fears that I had last week came to fruition. The team looked very, very... I mentioned, obviously, that the team struggled with ideas against Aberdeen, a bit of creativity. We knew what we were getting with Helsinki. We knew they were going to be a big, strong, physical team who were fit. I didn't think there was any problem with our team's fitness. But I did. I mean, like, we've spoken before about the Celtic team going a goal down, and then that's when they start bucking up their ideas. You can't allow that in Europe. It just can't be like that. We mentioned that we had to win by 2 clear goals, and I still feel that. I think we'll concede over there. I do, however, now having watched the game, feel that we will score over there. I do think we'll score against Helsinki. I wasn't overly impressed with them. John mentioned it a wee bit earlier. Comical defending. It was. I think it was Izaguirre that was completely. I mean, he was still in the Helsinki half when the guy actually scored the goal. But they were very, very lucky. I mean, Foster made a good save, and I think it came off one
Yeah, that's right.
Fell straight to the guy, so they were very lucky as well. So I think we'll go through. I'm going to say it. I think we'll go through on Wednesday night.
Johnny.
Well, when I get home for the game on Wednesday, I went on Twitter, went on the huddle board, and the general consensus was that it was a really good game. We played really well. When I was coming home, I was kind of raging. As soon as I got there and I seen we were playing one up front, I couldn't understand it at all. Because you've got to take it to these teams right for the kick-off. And then we didn't do anything until we go a goal behind. I mean, what's that all about?
But John, sorry to interrupt you there, Johnny, right? But you'd say we started with one up front, but as you said earlier on in the podcast, Commons was basically playing as another striker. You know that, I mean, he was sitting so high up.
But he's not a striker.
No, I know that, but he's sitting so high up. Right, so, as John says, we started with a 4-4-1-1 rather than a 4-5-1 that me and you were advocating, Fraser, last week. Did we think the formation failed, John?
Yes and no. I think our basic problem is lack of sharpness. We could have buried them 3 or 4 in the first half, so sharpness has to come into it. I mean, Celtic have been here before and they're not learning lessons. We know the league starts late in comparison to Europe, but we go and play friendlies. Whether it's a mindset of players not wanting to get injured or players not trying, but we're playing friendlies and we're getting beat, or we're not putting in really kind of performances with any sense of urgency, and then we're fighting ourselves in Europe against a team who's played 10, 15 games and who are up fit and sharp. Now, I remember Fraser saying that we were fit, and I agree we were fit, but we weren't sharp, and I think that lack of sharpness has cost us. And the same old problems emerged where we concede a soft goal, and it was a soft goal to concede, and then that kind of gives us a boot up the bum, and we go on the attack. And thankfully, we got the result in the end. But it's a little bit concerning when you watch Celtic make the same mistakes year on year, and I think that kind of happened in that game. And hopefully, conceding that silly goal hasn't hampered us. But I do think we've got enough individuals in this match winners in the side for us to get a goal over there. So I'm confident we will score. It's whether we can keep them out the other end and don't panic and give away stupid goals in important times in the game, like just before half time or just after half time. Because we do sometimes, I've noticed in Europe, in particular times, we do kind of switch off a little bit away from home.
Johnny, do you think that's fair that John just says it was a silly goal to lose? Do you think that's fair?
Well, who was it that gave the ball away, really? I can't remember, really. But it was a bit unlucky, the goal, really. Foster saves it and then the ball breaks to their player. And he actually done well to finish it and keep it done. But what you're saying about...
Sorry, I was just saying about Scott Brown just kind of was lethargically jogging back after the guy as well. He wasn't. People always big up Scott Brown as being a guy, a box-to-box midfielder who puts a shift in and who never gives up. Well, on Wednesday night he was jogging lethargically behind the guy who scored. So he didn't follow the runner, in my opinion. So he was partly.
But the guy's running into 2 defenders and a goalkeeper. There's going to be some sort of... I mean, he doesn't just keep chasing. You've got to trust your teammates. Is that no fair?
Yeah, but I mean, if you're on the guy back, what's the point? If you don't follow him on back, or you do follow him on back,
that's nonsense.
This half-heartedness.
You follow somebody back to put pressure on him to try and make a mistake.
But he didn't do that, Scott. He kind of followed him back about 4 yards behind him. And he was jogging. He wasn't sprinting that back behind him. I
don't know, John. You're calling that a silly goal. I mean, the guy's had a shot, the goalkeeper saved it, and it's bounced off the back of one of our defenders. I mean, I hardly call it silly. I think Fraser got it on the button. They said they were lucky. They were lucky with it. I mean, did they show you anything else that kind of that made you think that they could have progressed on that? I don't know. I think calling it a silly goal to lose is very harsh on the defence and on the team as a whole. I think the big goalkeeper done okay with the initial shot. So as we sit the now with 1-0 down and we've come up and it looks like we've just stepped up a gear. Fraser, why are they not doing this in the first half?
I totally agree with you, Scott. I did feel there was a 10-minute spell in the first half. I mean, Gary Hooper had a chance after about 20 seconds. The one he blazed over. The team started quite well, and then just slowly but slowly, you could just see Helsinki coming more and more into the game. They were starting to kind of win the midfield battles. They were playing it around and all that, and suddenly you're like, what is going on here, you know? And then, obviously, you've said they scored, and then suddenly everything changed. I thought after 15 minutes, if Celtic had managed to maintain the tempo they were playing at, I thought we were going to give them a doing. I really did, and then obviously what happened, you know.
Johnny, you clocked straight away that Neil Lennon looks like he switched the two wingers, for want of a better word, early on. How do you think that impacted the game?
Well, before he switched them about, we were far the better team. So Forrest had a bit of joy after left back, and then he switches them over to the left. And you combine that with Hooper dropping off and Commons pushing up. We were all over the place, and they dominated the game for about 25 minutes in the first half. Right. So they would have in at half time saying to each other, we can beat this mob in their own run. They came out and they scored, and luckily enough, the players stepped up after going a goal behind. But it should never got to that stage. And this is one of the reasons I was so angry, was the fact that this is the third year in a row at home where we've failed to put a tie to bed against a team that we should be taking 3 or 4 goals off of. And it really bugs my brains.
I agree with that.
But again, I'll come and counter that, Johnny, by saying I don't think Celtic turned off. I don't think Celtic... I mean, we were pushing for it. And again, I'm going to use the word misfortune. When the ball was played, a smashing wee move, the ball was played through and we've got 2 guys colliding. Did we not hit the post and stuff like that? I just think it was one of the days for Celtic. I mean, to get the win, the way they scored and the way we were it was bouncing back off and stuff, I just thought, I mean, because see when Commons hit the post straight away, Commons hit the post and it bounced off of Coley and went clear. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Any other day it has gone in. I think, I don't know, I'm not overly concerned by, to quote Fraser, I'm not overly concerned by them as a team. The AstroTurf thing sends shivers down my body, I must admit. I really do. Late in the game, right, we've pulled it back to 2-1 and we've made a fair few subs, right? Stokes has come on for Commons, fair dues. Commons' fitness isn't great, hasn't ever been. But then we brought on Lustig for Samaras and we brought McCourt on for Hooper.
Bizarre.
What's his thing there? Did that then confirm what Johnny says? We just packed up shop late on? Fraser?
Yeah, it does. That is basically what it means. You're taking off attacking players and putting on, alright, McCourt aside, the more defensive guys.
But McCourt's going to keep a hold of the ball, isn't he? So it kind of ties up for that.
Yep.
That bit, I suppose, Johnny, to come back what you're saying, that's fair dues. I think that's... I don't know.
Scott, can I also say that their keeper had about 2 or 3 really good saves as well, by the way?
Well, this is what we're saying. We're putting up with... I mean, it was Marcel that spoke last week, was it Utrecht? I felt that on the night we should have went for them, but we sat there and we put 2-0 in our pocket and said that'll do us. I didn't feel that Celtic gave up the ghost on Wednesday. John, did you think that?
Well, I think at the start we came out all guns blazing, and I was anxious because we weren't converting our chances. We were lacking that killer instinct, and then there was a period in the game where we were dead flat. We were just passed the ball sideways. We weren't creating anything. Then of course we lost the goal, and then we kind of got back a bit of momentum back in. So it was kind of like starting off trying really hard, middle, take a big rest, was playing containing football, and then we finished strongly. But I agree. I mean, taking Commons off I couldn't get my head around that. I assumed that he was kind of not fit or something, but he looked a little bit upset coming off. But for me, Commons is our biggest goal threat, I mean, he just, as you said earlier on, he'll crack a shot from anywhere, and he was unlucky. He scored on Saturday, he hit the post on Wednesday. So for me, he has to play because he can get. He's about the only guy on the pitch at Celtic who can get a goal out of nowhere, and that's something that we're crying out for at the moment, because I can't see goals coming from Wanyama or Kyle or anyone else in midfield at the moment.
I mean, I think it was really, really late on the game. Did Scott Brown know of a cracking shot?
Yep.
Did the goalkeeper no tip onto the post or just tipped it wide or something?
It was getting in the corner.
This is what we've got to be doing. We've got to be going and rattling in and hitting shots from outside the box.
But at the same time, Scott, 10 minutes before he had a shot, and my 1-year-old son could hit a harder shot and probably a more accurate shot. It was like 10 yards wide and it trundled over the line. It was.
But that's not really my point. My point, John, is that how many times have we, especially the boys who are kind of going to all the games, Fraser and Johnny, but how many times have you seen Scott Brown get the ball on the edge of the box and it's opened up for him and he's just passed it left or right? And we need to be taking advantage. We need to be taking the pressure off the forwards now. Now coming back to the forwards again, we did start up with Hooper himself, and Stokes come on later on in the game, and I felt actually Stokes and Hooper linked up for his. I think they were only like 25 minutes together. Gary Hooper missed a fair few pinches during the game. Don't get me wrong, they weren't glaring opportunities, but there were chances that a top striker, which we all think he is, should be doing better. Do you agree with that, Johnny?
Well, if he scores that one in the first minute, it's a totally different game. But he was in the right place at the right time. It was a great ball by Samaras for his goal, but he was there. You know what I mean? I don't rate him that highly. He's good, but he's not amazing. If you think of some of the strikers we've had in the past, he's no top draw. He's not consistent enough. But he'll get better as the season goes on. He's just too slow to start off.
That pretty much does the game. I'd like to bring you now on to signings with regard to the past two games, just to bring the two of them together for a second. Should we really have at least made more attempts to bring somebody in, or is it totally all reliant on Key? I mean, I was listening to Paul Larkin on Beyond the Waves, and he's picked up a guy that I think would be absolutely perfect for us, big Olaf Melberg. I mean, why would no? You don't think so, John? How no?
Jesus, he's about 38. What age is he?
He played in the Euros.
I don't care. He's
played very well in the Euros.
Played very well in the Euros.
Maybe we could have got him 2 or 3 years ago, but not now. He's 35 now. And he's nearly 36. He's pushing it, Scott. I mean, he's kind of guy who we should have got when he left Aston Villa, but not now. We need someone who's experienced. But
who do we need now?
Well, I mean, I'm not chief scout, but I mean, ideally, I'd be looking for someone who's probably surfing the Balkans, rampaged through a few villages, hard as nails type player. You know what I mean? Some 29-year-old Serbian or something would do me. Someone who's hard as nails, takes no nonsense. 29-year-old Serbian, like the old Rangers team, go for £1 million and stuff like that, or a big Gordon Petric, one of these guys. I'm talking about Vidic, that kind of player. No, just kind of.
Do you know what Vidic went for?
I know, but there is some guys out there, Scott, from Eastern Europeans particularly, who are hard as nails defenders. Won't cost a lot of money. Won't be on massive wages, but will do a real good job. And I think we've been burned in the Scandinavian market the last few signings, so I'd like to see us go to have a look at some internationals for like the likes of Poland and Hungary and places like that there, Serbia, Montenegro, no guys playing that neck of the woods.
I really do think you're still living in 1990. Honest to God, that you think that nobody in the world has seen these guys in Serbia and we can go and pick them up for a couple of shekels and a pack of potatoes. These guys are going to cost big money, right? We're talking about we have to sell Kyle to get somebody in. I mean, Man United bought 2 young guys. I think they were 20 and 21 and they paid £8.5 million for him, and you're telling me we can saunter in and say, here, we're Celtic, you want to come and play with us, big hard guy?
Right.
This would be a wee bit legit. I mean, we've spoke about in the past that we need a centre half and we need a centre forward to put pressure on the two strikers we've got. We need a centre half because it's a glaring hole, and we've also in this podcast said we've no creativeness at all. So, I mean,
the two positions we need to fill, Scott, are centre back and centre forward. That's the most important positions we need to fill. It's glaringly obvious we haven't got many options in those two key areas. Of course, we'd like a creative player, but we understand we have restrictions in terms of money or transfer fees and wages. But don't forget, we've seen a lot of players leave the club, and that's freed up a hell of a lot of wages. So there should be some room for manoeuvre. My concern is that Celtic are playing a poker game here. They're banking on getting past Helsinki and getting the player in, getting these type of players in, where it could, and I hope this doesn't occur, but it could happen that we are out of Europe. And one of the reasons we're out of Europe is because defensively we weren't good enough and we didn't score enough. So it's a dangerous game Celtic are playing, in my opinion.
We've done it before. John. Remember we had the chance to buy, I think it was Stephen Fletcher in the January transfer window. And I think it was Strachan's last season. Rangers ended up winning the league. Do you know what I mean? We have done it before. We were that confident. We were that far ahead. Scott McDonald scored that goal at Ibrox 1-0 game. Absolute peachy a goal. And we were about 7 points clear at January. And we were that confident we were going to win the league. We didn't buy and it cost us the league. And they're doing exactly that. They're doing that again. They are confident they're going to get past Helsinki. And that's why, at the minute, why we're not spending any money.
And Fraser, see when you make that point as well, see losing the league, it cost Celtic about 30 million because we lost out in Champions League next year and the following year. Do you know what I mean? So it was Celtic were just being a bit tight with their money, and it backfired massively to the extent where they've lost out on at least £15 million because Rangers get into the Champions League the next year.
Lawwell will be raging there that Fletcher's going to get sold for 15 million or something.
Yeah.
The money that got away.
What was it, $2.5 million we could have got him for?
Aye.
Anyway.
Well, Johnny, do you agree with that? I mean, I think you've more level-headed a wee bit with regards Celtic's buying policy than we are. But do you think we should have went out and spent? And I'm not going to say that a mortal phase speculate to accumulate, but surely to God, bringing in, I think it would have gave the whole squad a lift, if nothing else. Do you agree with that?
If we signed somebody like for a few million, like we did sign Forster for 2 million, I suppose. But if we signed somebody who was nice and big player that everybody knew, we would have sold more season tickets as well. But it is the risk you're taking that if we don't qualify for the Champions League, you're paying somebody's wages. So that's exactly what it is. And this boy Henriksen's names it's popping up again today. So it was.
Where does he keep popping up? Because you brought up last week as well. I've not seen it.
It's been on Twitter a couple of times a day.
Yeah.
Is it? We've put a bid in already.
800,000, but it's not. It's way below Rosenborg's expectations.
Yeah, typical Celtic are.
You know, that's it. But you've got to play the game, ain't you? I mean, you think about we spent what £2.5 million on big Leuven's. You know what I mean? So it just kind of proves that money doesn't always work out.
I know, but look at this time last year with Banguera situation. We had a fee agreed where a guy, Diarra, what was his name? Diarra?
Baba Diarra.
Playing in Portugal. The guy just looked like the perfect guy we were after. Good in the air, strong big guy. Lennon's over watching him, and the fees agreed. And the next thing, Lennon's on his way home, and we've seen some guy, Banguera, no one's heard of, and even his YouTube videos he looks rubbish in.
Did you hear of Diarra, had you?
I hadn't heard of him, but here, he's playing the Portuguese league and scoring. The Portuguese league, I mean, it's a hell of a lot better league than the Swedish league. And the guy subsequently going on to Seville. Where's Banguera now? He can't get on the reserves.
Yeah, but at the time we're signing one or two guys that none of us have ever heard of before. We signed one, and we were all happy enough at the time. I remember I was really excited when we signed Banguera. I thought he was going to be excellent.
Johnny, I disagree because he wasn't the type of player we needed. We were crying out for a guy who could header a ball because there's too many balls going to the box for Celtic and no one on the end of him. And Van Geur was never that type of player. He was kind of player on the ground and using his pace and power. So even in the moment, I was cracking up because I preferred the big lad.
So Delara, he scored loads of headers, did he?
Yeah.
I'm John. I'm not going to argue with you because, as Johnny rightly says, in my opinion, we were linked with a guy called Baba Delara and we were linked with a guy called Mo Bangura. And I've got to say, I've never heard of either one of them. Right? And I appreciate what you're saying. You're coming from Portugal. It's a higher league. It's a higher. Capucho came from Portugal. Right? There's no guarantees. I remember people going mental when we never get Jimmy Bullard and we couldn't afford to get. And then you get guys like Joe Ledley come in the door and you're kind of going, well, we don't know. It's been said in the past we could have went out there and spent a good few £1 million on a transfer fee with good few £1 million in wages and so. There's no guarantee it was going to get us through this tie. However, as John says, I always find new signings in the summer, it revitalises people. It gives people a wee, we need to see these guys. You rightly... Sorry, Fraser.
No, I was just going to back up what you said there. I follow Rio Ferdinand on Twitter, and one of the things he mentioned is see the buzz it gives the squad when new guys come in. That's what he said on Twitter. He says you get a real feeling in your stomach that you need to go for it because there's these new guys in that are desperate to impress. You've got the jersey and you need to maintain it.
Fraser, you played football a long time now, and you remember every pre-season it would always be the talk. How many guys have we brought in? How many guys? And as you say, and if you go out and train the first training session and there's a guy there in your position busting it, you're sitting there going, here, I've got to step my game up. And I think we're maybe going down the line that these guys are going, I've got a job. And maybe again it's a big maybe that they might be thinking, we've won the league, the Huns are dead, we're going to canter this league. It's Helsinki. Do you know what I mean? Maybe there's an element of that goes with it. No?
No, I personally agree with that, as Fraser says. I mean, if you, I made the point earlier, if we had bought a striker in and Hooper and Stokes would have been looking over their shoulder going, had to put a shift in here. No harm to Stokes, I know he didn't get much service either on Wednesday and yesterday, but he looks a yard or two off the pace. He didn't look as if he was putting a shift in, and Hooper's quite similar territory. So to me, it's at a complacency, or they're not up to speed yet. Whereas a new signing would kind of change their attitudes.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. I think we could have made some signings, if not just to push people on somewhat. But again, for every Joe Ledley you get a Brozac. So we'll bring that section to a close and we'll finish off the podcast in part 3 talking about the upcoming game on Wednesday. Part 3, and we're just going to have a wee look now at the upcoming game on Wednesday night against Helsinki, the return match. As we've already said and everybody knows, we're 2-1 up. They've got that away goal. The game's going to be on AstroTurf. Fraser, is the AstroTurf going to cause us bother?
Yeah, well, it'll cause us bother. I think we'll be okay once we get maybe half an hour of the game under our belt. But it definitely will. These guys are used to playing. AstroTurf's totally different. The bounce of the ball, it is different playing on it. You know, it slows up your passing a wee bit as well. So it will affect us, but it won't affect us massively. You've got to win. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's Astrograss at Lennoxtown, is there not?
And
it must be a similar standard as well. So you've got to think these guys must be used to playing on it.
Yeah. So, Johnny, what do you think here?
Well, if it takes us half an hour to adjust to the park, we'll be 2-3-0 down as usual away from home. But the pitch get relayed last year, and we done no bad away to Moscow. It shouldn't be that big a deal playing on AstroTurf as much as it would have been, say, 10 years ago. Because the players are a lot more used to it these days.
I think technology's came a long way as well, Johnny, and the pitches, they're not as bad as used to be.
Well, the AstroTurf pitches, John?
Yeah.
I'm taking it for granted we're going to be going all there, but Monday or something we'll probably train on it on Tuesday. That's generally the case, isn't it? So you say...
Well, I think you said he was taking them over a day early, I think, so they could have an extra day on it.
Right, so again,
I'm sure that's
So
what he
we'll be
said.
talking about Monday.
That's what he said.
Anyway, go back to what Fraser said. Maybe it's going to take you 5-10 minutes in the game to get yourself back to understanding the bounce of the ball and whatever exactly. How do we set up? Do we start defensively and open ourselves up, or do we just screw aim and this is how Celtic play? John, what do you think?
We have to play defensively. We don't want to sip too deep, but we have to keep possession. It's all about possession. European football. We have to keep a hold of the ball. As Johnny said a few seconds ago, typical Celtic have a habit of losing goals early and basically bricking themselves and panic stations, and we're all over the shop. We have to go 35 minutes without conceding. We have to keep the ball and then the more we keep the ball, the more frustrated they'll get, and they'll have to come forward more, and then we can pick them off on the counter with a 4-5-1.
Johnny, what do you think of that?
I think we should play 4-4-1-1. I'm going to read my team out here because I've written it down.
Okay.
Right, Foster's, Matthew, Rogney, Mulgrew, Izzy, Forrest, Wanyama, Brown, Ledley, and then Samaras off Hooper. Because this is where Samaras is really frustrating, but his best games tend to be away from home in Europe, where the opposition defenders seem to be a bit scared of him. Because he's probably the only player that most teams in Europe have ever heard of in their team, really, because he's been at the Euros and things like that. So, and he does play well in these games. Mm-hmm. So there it is, 4-4-1-1, and we can't play too defensively because if we could beat 1-0 with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to kind of just date maybe the first half an hour, set off a wee bit and hit them in the counter attack. But if we keep it at 0 each, then we can start getting a bit more adventurous. And Ledley in there to protect Izzy, because I think they'll target Izzy on Wednesday night. So Ledley's there. I'd put Ledley there to protect him.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Fraser?
Yeah, I actually, now that John said that, it does sound pretty good. I was thinking the exact same team except starting off 4-5-1 with Samaras out on the left, but now that John's mentioned about Ledley being on the left to protect Izzy, it makes sense. It does make sense because obviously once Samaras starts galloping, you know, he can leave you quite exposed. And he's not a defensive minded guy anyway, do you know what I mean? So, no, that was quite a good call for John Forbes there.
Just one thing, John, did you say Commons was playing? Did you want Commons in?
No, I wouldn't play Commons, no.
Oh, well, disagree there. I mean, Commons would be my first name in the team sheet for Wednesday. I think he's been our best player. He's our most likely, he'd be our most likely player for a goal. So I would definitely play Commons.
Out of interest, John, who would you drop for him?
Brown.
I'm not sure about that, to be honest. But
if Brown or Samaras, to be honest, I would maybe consider bringing Samaras on later on to stretch a game on the left. But I think Commons has to start. He's the only guy you kind of, especially in Europe, if we're not creating too much and we don't get many chances. And you know yourself in European football, you may get 1 or 2 chances in a game, and if those 1 or 2 chances, the one person you'd want them to fall to would be Commons, because there's always there's a goal threat in Commons, and I think he's back to his first season form for Celtic. He certainly looks a lot fitter, and he's having shots from everywhere. So he's already got a goal this season. So I think it's the madness not to start him.
He could play instead of Forrest. I'd imagine Lynn might go with that, but it depends how Forrest is.
Yeah, well, actually, I forgot about Forrest. I take the Brown and Samaras to him back, and I would say Forrest, yeah. Cause
I thought Forrest was very effective against Helsinki when he did play again, when he went right at the defender. I thought he was very effective.
I don't know if I agree with effective. He certainly had a hell of a lot of the ball, which was good. I didn't think he was very effective with it. His crossing was poor. His final pass was poor. But I saying that, I think the whole team's final pass on the night was generally poor. I like what Johnny says as well. I like the fact that if you've got Ledley, but you've got to let Ledley know right away that if Samaras, if Izagüeyi is battering down that line, that he's going to be tucking in and covering. I don't know. It's quite frustrating. John went on his wee rant there at the beginning, and we could do this podcast a year ago, a year before, and we're going to Utrecht to batter with our 2 penalties done within 5-10 minutes. We're Sion, big Dan's get the ball looped to him. It's frustrating that we're kind of talking about it, and I think it's nervousness in every Celtic fan. How is Neil Lennon going to make sure the nervousness doesn't come into this team? What's his gambit? Again, it comes back. John, you think we go defensively. Johnny, you don't think so. Is Neil Lennon, is he clued up enough to have us sitting tight and counter-attacking well? Fraser?
I think he is, mate. I think he is. I think what he's got to look at, I think he's got to sit the team down and say, look, here's what we've done against Udinese away from home, and we've done it very, very well. We were very unlucky that game not to win that.
Samaras was outstanding.
And Samaras was outstanding. You just took the words out of my mouth, right? So he's got to sit the team down. That's the tactics. Rennes, we were good in Rennes. You know what I mean? We played well in Rennes. And, well, all right, we went a silly goal down, but the team, they did sort it out after it. And that's what he's got to look to. He's got to say, these two teams are better than Helsinki, and here's how we played against them, and we played very effectively. So, in my opinion, we do that. We start off the game, as in defensively on the counter-attack, and work our way into the game. The team might get a lot of confidence while the game's, start off defensively and get a lot of confidence, and as the game progresses, change it a wee bit,
Johnny?
We should have learned quite a lot for the Europa League. We've done no bad in it. But there was no pressure on us, really. We get in there by default again in the group of death, really. And there was no pressure on us whatsoever. This is a different animal, qualifying. And I'm no full of hope after the last 2 seasons, to be honest. But I think we'll go through, but it's not going to be pretty.
The thing is, Fraser's put it on the ball there. You pull out a Udinese performance, you pull out a Rennes away performance, you're beating this team. I even think you pull out Atletico Madrid away performance, you're beating this team. This team isn't. We watched Braga, and Braga turned up with about 12 Brazilians in a squad of 11. I don't know how they managed it, but they had all these Brazilians, and their control of the ball and their reflex and their touch and stuff was really, really impressive. Utrecht had Willy van Wolfswinkel up front, who looked a class act, and he's proven it again in Portugal, like John was saying. These teams, Celtic always seem to pull these teams that nobody had heard of within the season. They went, Basel done it. I think Armedia actually went and had a decent wee run in the Champions League. But see Helsinki, I sat and watched them, and there was nothing that I sat there and went, by the way, we better watch ourselves here, we better watch ourselves there. If Celtic get rid of the stupid goals that we concede, because this no kid on, they are stupid. Giving away penalties for nothing. Giving away fucking the ball goes all your head and you boot a guy when he's turning you. We get rid of this. We play our real football. We should be beating this team. AstroTurf or no AstroTurf.
Yeah, our worst enemy, Scott, is ourselves. We always have a habit of shooting ourselves in the foot. So if Neil Lennon has drummed it in them to play safe, be conservative, don't do nothing daft, don't rush in, then we should be fine. But we know, following Celtic over the years, that you have this inbuilt ability of shooting yourselves in the foot, and just hopefully that doesn't happen.
Okay, right. We'll finish up that there. So I'm just going to ask you now, Fraser, prediction for Wednesday.
1 each.
Okay. John?
I was going to go 1 each as well.
And Johnny, since you got to bang on last time.
No, I didn't say 3-1.
Did you say 3-1? Right, okay, so tell me now.
I think we'll win 1-0.
1-0?
There you go. Imagine no conceding a goal. Jesus.
That would be nice, aye. Okay, lads.
I was going to say 1 each, but they two said it, so.
What about you?
I think Celtic win 2-1. There you go. Okay, lads, that was good. Enjoyed that. Cheers, hoping the Celtic did a job on Wednesday. So, Fraser, thank you very much, mate.
Thanks very much, guys. Take care.
Alright.
John, thank you, pal.
Alright, no worries. Speak to Mark.
Johnny, speak to you soon, pal.
Right, cheers, see you later.
Bye.
Well, that's us again for this week. Decent wee yarn, and if we keep winning 1-0 and 2-1, I don't suppose we'll be doing too much moaning. Maybe just a wee bit. As always, any feedback or criticism is welcome and can be directed to us through @TemporaryStand on Twitter email at temporarystand@hailhailmedia.com, or the usual message boards. Thanks for downloading this effort and supporting ourselves and all the guys at Hail Hail Media. I remind you that the group hosts Beyond the Waves with Graham and Rev, the Lost Boys with the three amigos Chris, Jerry and Jamie, the Homeboys with Joe, Harper, Paul and Jason, the Met Boys with Harper and Jason again, with Nicky, Jock and Frankie also calling in, the Paradise Preview with Graham again and Josh Gaffney, the Paradise Report with Chris, TikTok with Richard and the crew for the Carluke Shamrock, and finally Rebel with Prefontaine when he can be bothered slagging the ex-Huns. That's us for the night, so good night, God bless, and once again Celtic, come on and give us a good one, please. Hail, hail.